Good morning. Looking like a sunshiny day already. It is 6:38 a.m. Cece left a little bit ago. Then Hollywood left maybe 15 or 20 minutes ago. And I am now walking. There were still quite a few people camped around there, so I didn't video anything this morning. But that lake was really pretty. There was a lot of like fog or steam coming off of it. I guess we got a big day going today. We haven't talked about any plans or anything. I think we just probably all know we have to do somewhere between 25 and 30. I see Mount Jefferson up here. And man, let me show you, because it's got a real pointy peak. You know, we couldn't see that yesterday because of the clouds. Look at that, like point. They're way up above those clouds. It is 10 a.m. and I have not done a lot of videoing this morning. So when I left camp, you know, there were a lot of people, the woods were open, so there's nowhere really good to use the restroom there. There was kind of an open climb, and then it ended in this big flat open area with a bunch of big areas of pine trees. I thought, oh, everybody that camped there ever, this is where they're digging their morning hole. Nobody's around, go dig my hole. All of a sudden, this whole group of girls that were camped at the campground we were last night all show up. They're all walking by, but I'm back in the trees. One of them stops, starts organizing her stuff. I'm like, oh gosh, she's coming in here. So I hurried up. All she was doing was taking a layer off. She didn't even come in. So then I ended up walking with one of those girls for a little while. Talked to her for a bit. She was from Germany. And mostly I walked by myself though for the first a couple hours. And then I was thinking though, man, there were so many beautiful views. I just want to sit and look at the views and relax. I'm feeling very tired, even though we had a few days off. They weren't real restful days. And I'm just starting to feel tired of 25 to 30 miles a day. Every day we're walking. And I kept telling myself, you know, depending on what happens here with this next Southern Washington, like this can be done in 3 weeks or maybe even a little less now. So just embrace it and grind it out. A little later, I caught up with Cece, and I walked with her for quite a while until we stopped for water, and then I left before she did. And she said, like one of the first things she said, we were walking together, was, man, I don't want to hike. So I'm just feeling so tired of all this walking. I was like, yeah, I was just thinking the same thing. You know, like we definitely are walking all the way, but it's, I guess we've probably been at that point for a while. It's a lot of miles to do every day. Especially you get a big climb later. And some days you just don't feel like doing it, but you have to. So that's just how we're feeling this morning. I mean, it's been a pretty enjoyable hike today, aside from those thoughts, but I stopped abruptly there because I walked right into this camp. There was just, the trail turned and there were 2 tents, people packing up. It is 10:07 a.m. I've already hiked, what, 8.5 miles or something. They're like, good morning. I wanted to be like, good afternoon. I guess they slept in. But anyway, I think we're going to try to do 29 point something today. Cece had looked and said she saw a place there on the map. So we'll see if I'll see them for lunch, I'm sure, and we will decide how far we're going to go. I think Hollywood's behind me now too. Apparently, Cece said Hollywood was behind her. And so I've passed him at some point. I don't know when, because he must have been off trail when I passed. So I'll see. They'll catch up at lunch, I'm sure. All right, it's a few minutes before 2 p.m. I'm up here eating lunch, and I'm almost to the clouds. Behind me, it's real dark and cloudy. But look how the view changes on the other side. I'm up here in the clouds, and I'm getting cold. I either got to put a coat on or start walking. So I don't know where everybody's at. I haven't seen Cece since we had a morning break. Haven't seen Hollywood since camp this morning. There was at least a dozen other hikers around us that I saw at the water sources that I got ahead of. And the whole time I sat here, nobody has come by northbound. 4 Sobos have come through. But man, this has been just a beautiful spot to stop and have lunch. It's so weird that it's beautiful and sunny that way, and behind me, like I'm in the clouds. Look at this. The clouds have been moving as I've been sitting here, and they're moving the direction I'm going. So as long as it's just clouds and not rain, we're fine. It's all still a huge snow bridge. It was actually a little more precarious to cross this than I thought it was going to be. This is one of the prettiest views we've had in a long time. Who would have thought? It is like August 19th, and I'm going to have to do a snow traverse. I'm not sure, but this could be Mount Hood. It is 5:45, and I just took a break. I was probably there longer than I should have been, probably 20 minutes or 30 minutes. Had some snacks, put on my jacket and some gloves. It was getting cold. Been descending from that, we had a big climb to where the snow was. Been descending for a while. It's not as cold as it was up there, but I'm still cold. And it's mostly downhill, just one more little up in a bit. So, while I was sitting there at least, a group that we were bouncing around with and camped where we did last night came by. And the one girl that I talked to for a bit this morning, I talked to her again. They're not going quite as far as we're planning to go. But she was like, today has been so hard. So I don't know. I didn't really think it was that hard, except there's been a lot of rocks that I don't like on my feet. But I did hear from Hollywood. We texted when I had service, and he said, yeah, we're planning to go to the same place, Cigar Lake. So I still have almost 6 miles to get there. So it will be dark when we get there. So I don't know. I will either stop again. I may stop again in like 2 hours and eat dinner. That way, I don't know. I'll see how I feel in a little while. But that's an option. Otherwise, I'll get there after dark and then have to cook and set up and everything. And I'm kind of hungry. I just ate a bunch more Sour Patch Kids out of that big bag. And I had a Bob's Bar and some honey roasted peanuts. I finished the rest of my honey roasted peanuts. So I don't know, we'll see. I'll either stop and eat while it's daylight, or I'll go all the way. Okay, it's a little windy and cold. The lake and tent site that we were planning to go to is 0.3 ahead. There was just another lake 0.1 back, and I'd kind of decided, because it's sunset is 8:05. You know, it's been getting earlier and earlier, and it's like 8 o'clock now. So I was thinking, if there were some good spots, I would just stop there and just watch for Hollywood and CC when they come by. But there was nowhere really to camp there. There was one spot where the grass was all kind of cut. It was decently flat, but right up next to the water. But it probably been a lot of condensation and kind of cold right on the water. So I kept going. Hopefully, nobody's at this next lake where we're planning to go. Or, well, I don't care if people are there as long as there's room for us. Because if there's not room for us, we're only going to be like 1.9 from where we're going to resupply tomorrow. So can't really go too much further. I also don't know how far CC and Hollywood are behind. I got the text from Hollywood at 5:08, but that's just when I turned my phone on. I don't know what time he sent it. That said, still planning on Cigar Lake, so he was good to go there. So, we shall see in about 6 minutes, I guess. Okay, I'm here at Cigar Lake, and I don't see anyone here. So I'm going to find me a spot and get set up. There was comments that the tent sites were up close to the water, but it doesn't look like they're real close. I saw a couple back here. I'm going to head back there to the tent sites. I'm going to grab some water before I put my tent up, so I don't have to go back down there once it starts getting dark, and so my hands don't get cold right as I'm getting in my tent. All right, it is 8:40. There was one other tent here by me, and then 3 others came in. I've still not seen Hollywood or CC, but I just got my tent set up, got everything set up, and cleaned up a little bit. I got dinner cooking here. I'm gonna have rice and beans, and since there's other people around and it's already getting dark, I'm not gonna come back later, so I'm gonna go ahead and tell you now. Have a good night, and I'll see you tomorrow.